Today we're going to dive into a story about how one tiny, simple error on a piece of paper almost blew up a whole legally binding deal. And, more importantly, what it tells us about every single contract you might sign.
I mean, really think about that. You sign something, a lease, an application, whatever, but you get one little detail wrong. Does that mean the whole thing is just worthless?
You know the drill. We've all been there, right? Filling out some form, checking boxes, scribbling in our details. It feels like such a routine thing. But what happens when that simple task goes wrong and a really important promise is on the line? So this isn't just some what-if scenario. Let's get into a real-world case where this exact question was the whole ballgame.
Now, don't let the name fool you. This isn't some dusty, boring legal case. It's a fantastic story that really gets to the heart of how promises and agreements actually work in the real world.
All right, so let's get into it. Let's meet the man at the center of all this. Who was Mr. Hughes, and what was the big mistake that kicked this whole thing off? Okay, so the setup is pretty simple. Mr. Hughes wants to get an insurance policy from Liverpool, Victoria. He fills out the application, an agreement is made, and boom, a policy is issued. But hiding in plain sight on that form was a mistake, a little ticking time bomb that was just waiting to go off.
And eventually, that time came. A claim was filed, and the insurance company flat out refused to pay. And their whole justification? That one single error on the original application. They basically said because of this mistake, the entire contract was invalid right from the very start.
Now, the company didn't just say, nope, not paying. They came to court armed with a really powerful legal argument to back up their decision.
They brought out this big legal idea called unilateral mistake. It's a pretty specific concept where only one of the two parties in an agreement is wrong about a key detail. The insurance company thought this was their silver bullet, the one thing that could make the whole policy just vanish into thin air.
Their logic kind of went like this. Look, for a contract to be real, you need a meeting of the minds. But since we based our decision to give you this policy on mistaken information, our mind never really met with Mr. Hughes's. So there was never really a contract in the first place.
So the stage was set. You've got a denied claim, you've got this powerful legal argument, and one huge question hanging in the air. The whole thing went to court, where a judge was going to have the final say.
It really just boiled down to two possible outcomes. Was the insurance company right? Was the contract totally void because of the error? Or was Mr. Hughes right and the contract was still valid, meaning they had to pay his claim?
And the court's decision? The contract was valid. They sided with Mr. Hughes. That mistake on the form wasn't enough to tear up the entire agreement. So, why? What was the judge's reasoning?
This is where it gets really, really interesting. The whole verdict came down to this subtle but absolutely critical difference, a distinction that's frankly fundamental to all of contract law.
See, the court drew a really sharp line between two kinds of mistakes. On one hand, you have a mistake of term. That's when you're confused about the actual promises inside the contract. But on the other hand, you have a mistake of fact. That's an error about some background detail that just influenced your decision to make the deal. The difference seems small, but it changes everything.
So here's how the judge broke it down. 1, both Mr. Hughes and the insurance company absolutely intended to make an insurance contract. That was clear. 2, they agreed on all the important stuff, the coverage, the price, the core promises. 3, the error on the form, that was a background fact. Sure, it might have changed the insurer's decision, but it didn't change what they were actually agreeing to. And because of that, number 4, their minds did meet on the essential terms. The contract was real.
So, why are we talking about this case today? Why does it still matter? Well, because the principle behind it applies to pretty much every single agreement you make in your life.
So here's the bottom line for all of us. The law cares about what you objectively agreed to do, not what you were secretly thinking or what you might have misunderstood about the world. As long as the main promises of the deal are clear, courts are going to try to uphold it. They're not going to let someone just back out because they were wrong about a background fact. It really shows there's a huge difference between making a deal for a bad reason and actually misunderstanding the deal you made.
And that kind of leaves us with this final thought to chew on. This whole case teaches us that the meeting of the minds isn't about two people having the exact same perfect knowledge. It's about two people agreeing to the same set of promises. And a simple mistake about the world outside that promise, well, that's usually not enough to break it.